The All About Nothing podcast might have language and content that is inappropriate for some. Listener discretion is advised. Recorded live from GOT Sound Studio, this is the All About Nothing podcast with Trent Clark, Zac King, and Barrett Gruber.
All right, welcome back to the All About Nothing podcast. I'm Barrett Gruber. This is Zac King here to my right.
I am.
We are sans Trent Clark because apparently his girlfriend's having a birthday, and he's not going to listen to this anyway. So I'm going to claim that he came down with a terrible case of
Probably.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I think about that, because it would have had to been Nikki that gave it to him, I guess.
No, not necessarily.
You don't think so?
No. Dormant case of
Yeah. So Trent Clark is not here with us. He said he did tell me in the text message though he'd be back on Thursday for our softball game.
Okay. Well, that's all that matters, right?
I mean, I won't be at the softball game
Tomorrow?
I won't be at the softball game tomorrow because it's opening weekend for the Fireflies. So we go to the opening game tomorrow night.
For sure.
All right, everybody, please subscribe to the show. Subscriptions drive our searches. That's where we get new listeners. Also, please consider supporting us financially by visiting patreon.com/theallaboutnothing. And to make it easier for you, we've actually added it to our website. There's a link at the top of the page, so head over to that, theallaboutnothing.com for links and details. Also, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts and you think we're worth it, go ahead and give us one of those 5-star reviews and punch up a talk about us.
Yeah.
Say how much you like listening.
Spread the word. And if you don't like us, go on a diatribe about it.
Yeah, like
just
a long rambling.
Yeah, because if we don't see it, did it happen?
You could actually even call our phone number. It's in the notes, and you can call the phone number and leave that message. And I'm more than happy to fill it in here as content.
Yeah. So what's that old saying? If someone's bitching about you in the woods, did the tree really fall?
Yeah, that's right. All right. Thanks. Shout outs. Thanks to Asia Samuels last week for being on here. Social media manager for the review at the main course, as well as social media manager and director for South Carolina Black Pride. Also want to thank several people that reached out and wished me a happy birthday again that I neglected to respond to them before. Friend and villain of the show, Bill Kimler. Thank you very much for that.
Bill is the frenemy of the show. He sent me a lovely message. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad to bring the funny.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank a list of others, but seriously, I've actually forgotten who all it was. So, also, I was checking out the analytics for the show, and it tells us like what countries people are listening to us from. France, Germany, Sweden, India, Myanmar, Australia, and New Zealand, as well as Mexico and Canada, outside of the United States. Those are the big ones that have hit us up lately. And if you're listening to us in Sweden and you're listening to the show, if you could get a hold of me at Barrett Gruber on Twitter, or you can email me, Barrett at theallaboutnothing.com. I'm giving serious consideration to potentially making a move over the pond, and I'd really like to see how the show would play out in Sweden.
Yeah, man, Barrett is coming over here. All about something.
And honestly, if anybody's listening to any of those countries, tweet us or email us.
Dude, it would be outside of my French accent if I just offended you.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear from people listening in other countries. Even if you're there listening to us. Yeah. That's an interesting story. Like if you're traveling there and just listen to us there.
Zac does a lot of really offensive impressions.
Accents are fine as long as they're not somebody.
As long as you're like, I
will die on that hill.
I am President Macron.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man, they didn't let me taking away their retirement. They riot in the streets. It's a revolution.
But yeah, if you're listening to the show in one of these other countries, please tweet us or email us. Right. The email address is theshow@theallaboutnothing.com, and tell us where you're listening from, and give us some suggestions because. Honestly, we do begin to run out of content. We do have John Kocsis. He's going to be coming up in the second half of the episode. Very excited about that because the Fireflies season kicks off. And friend of the pod and Patreon, Ami Bland, who also has a show on the Barrett Gruber Entertainment and Media Network or Podcast Network, whatever.
The grid.
Whatever it is I'm calling it this week.
Yeah.
She does Welcome to Wonderland, which Zac and I frequently appear on.
Yes.
But she and I went to the Fireflies opener, not opener last night, but sort of a season ticket holder event, which was really cool because we got baseballs signed by all of the players that were at the field, and including Tony Pena Jr., who used to play for the Braves. He's managing for I think it's the second year now. Yeah. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's the second year.
We'll ask John.
What was funny is I actually have his rookie card.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take it back to the game on Thursday. See if I can't reach over into the dugout and have him sign it.
Yeah.
So.
Or throw it like Gambit, just like in the crack of his mouth, like. He's like, what is this?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that nothing pisses a skipper off more than somebody throwing something in his mouth. Let's see. Okay, so that's gonna be that. I wanted to bring up something, and I already mentioned to Zach that if you listen to The Scathing Atheist, which is Eli, Noah, and Heath, usually, sometime Marsh, but if you listen to The Scathing Atheist, great show, and you ought to listen to it, then you've already heard this story because they did it on Thursday after I wrote it on Wednesday.
Sometimes we're ahead, sometimes they're ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And I blame Jimmy Kimmel mostly because Jimmy Kimmel will tell my jokes after I've written them, and then I'm like,
we know you're watching, Jimmy.
Well, I don't know how. He gets them early. Well, anyway, regardless, I know that I have written. Yeah, he's in here. He's on that camera there or that one there.
He's doing something.
But I will write jokes, and then I'll watch Jimmy Kimmel the next day, and it's like, fuck, his writers stole my jokes.
Oh, yeah, it must be the writers.
So the first thing that I did want to bring up is there was an article published in the Springfield News-Ledger on March 22nd of this year.
Springfield?
Yeah. Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah. So not...
You lived another day, baby.
Apparently, Pastor John Little of the James River Church in Joplin, Missouri, near Springfield, he broke the news about this. There was a creative miracle that caused a woman's amputated toes to regrow back. So this took place during a service hosted by a guest pastor named Bill Johnson of Redding, California. But the pastor he's a pastor at Bethel Church in California.
So he said that the toes grew back because of him.
Yeah. So this whole incident began in 2019. Johnson unsuccessfully attempted to resurrect a deceased 2-year-old girl.
He didn't do it.
No, he didn't. No, it was a complete failure.
I guess it's God's will.
Yeah. There is no actual proof that these toes actually regrew. I guess regrew would be the correct word. But supposedly this miracle occurred on March 15th during a live stream. Prayer team members prayed over Christina Dines. She lost her 3 toes after she suffered a serious injury after her husband actually shot her then husband. Yeah, Stephen Thompson back in 2015. And this is a quote. As the ladies prayed for Chrissy over the next 30 minutes, all 3 toes grew. And by that point, were longer than her pinky toe, quoted Lindell.
And
no relation, by the way.
And that he knows of. Yeah. And no video of it.
Yeah, there's no video of this actually occurring.
So there's no what we call proof.
Yeah, there's nothing for us to see. I assume that if she were to take pictures of them now, she would have toes, which means that there would need to be proof that at some point she didn't have toes.
Yeah, like she probably never wore flip-flops around church at some point.
Yeah, I would suspect.
Yeah. Well,
I'm guessing the Three Rivers Church is a Baptist church.
Yeah, so
or Pentecostal.
Not. Yeah, no sandals allowed. But what's funny is that is kind of one of those. I don't know how much time you've spent debating theists.
No, you've definitely got me on that one.
So I was on a podcast called Young People, Big Problems, or I think that's what it was called. And it was awesome. Those guys were nice as could be. But the one thing they brought up, they were like, what if a limb grew back? How are you going to look at that if it grows back right in front of you? How are you going to look at that and say it's not a miracle? I was like, well, how are you going to look at it and say, let's not call Professor Xavier and make sure this isn't a mutant from the X-Men?
Yeah.
I was like, it's just as probable that this person's a mutant as it is God came down and did it. The fact is, everybody who says something like this happens, they never think to bring out their iPhones. They're just in the moment.
Yeah. And ultimately, in today's society, I cannot believe a situation occurring, a scenario where these women are over this Christina Dines and she is being preyed on, and at least she doesn't pull out her phone. And unless she's not into the feet thing and she just didn't want to take any pictures of her feet, maybe.
I mean, I get being in the moment, not believing your toes are going back. But, dude, everyone's lying. This is a lie.
Yeah.
This is a lie.
So a video of Chrissy Dines providing testimony of the claimed healing was shared on Facebook, but was reportedly deleted moments after it was published.
Yeah, because no.
Yeah. Apparently, though, there is this video floating around because after it was published, people did download it and save it, and some people have shared it. I have not found it.
A video of the toes?
No, a video of her testimony of her toes growing back.
What a weak miracle.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Dine said she wanted her 3 toes to grow back, and the people sitting next to her that were sitting next to her that day, they said, "Oh, do you want your new toes?" She was like,
What color?
Well, sure.
What color you want the toenails?
Yeah, exactly. She said, "Well, sure." Dine said that all 3 women got down and prayed over her foot. She took off her shoes and saw that 3 toes were forming. By that night, she could stand on her tippy toes.
Because those are the toes you eat. Anyway.
The greatest grift of this whole thing, though, is that there is a website that you can pull up called showmethetoes.com that's been built asking anyone. It's not a grift. I said a grift. It's not a grift. But it's a website asking anyone to show proof of this actual miracle. And to date, there has not been a true photo or video evidence provided. Chrissy Dines will require one more official miracle before the Catholic Church can canonize her.
Yeah. Dude, like, what is the point? It's either when people do things like this, they believe it truly happened and it didn't, or they're full on lying.
I am open to the idea. I am while I am a skeptic when it comes to Christianity or I'm not. I don't know that I'm necessarily a scripted to Christianity because it definitely exists. Mm-hmm. Like that part definitely exists.
The religion part?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The organization.
It's there. It's ruining America. It's there.
But I'm open to the idea that there was. I ultimately do believe there was a Jesus. I believe that there was an individual who said the things that were said in the Bible. That potentially maybe there was some sort of influence. I mean, aliens go back a long ways, and I'm sure they have advanced technology that could potentially.
That is just as good of a fucking explanation. Was there a Jesus? Yes. Did he piss people off? Yes. Did he do miracles? No.
I think he was crucified by the Romans and the Jews.
Yeah,
I believe.
Sure.
I believe that all happened.
I'm not a mythicist. Like I'm not gonna. I never delve into did he exist or not. I've listened to Jesus Christ missing in action. Which is a whole research study about whether he was real or not by I think his last name is Fitzgerald. But it's fine. I don't subscribe to it, but whether he was real or not, I can tell you what he didn't do, and that's miracles. And I don't trust a 2,000-year-old book to tell me that.
Yeah, especially a 2,000-year-old. And
when they wrote everything over like 100 years later,
right
after it supposedly
not even 100 years later. Some of these stories are 150, 200 years later. That
I'm talking about the earliest ones go from 50 years to 100.
Oh yeah. And that no one that wrote anything in the New Testament actually witnessed anything. It was all stories that were passed down over 2 or 3 generations before they actually got written.
And here's fun: if you have your Bible next to you, go to the front of it, and it'll tell you in the very front of the Bible. They don't know who wrote it. The Bible itself tells you it doesn't know who wrote the Bible.
That's interesting.
Self-incriminating.
Yeah, a little bit.
I promise you, if I had one right here, right now, I could show Barrett. If you have a Bible, go home and look at the front. Check all the front pages. It is there somewhere that it tells you. I checked it myself multiple times once I heard that.
That is something that publishers are never going to get away with nowadays. No. It's not going to happen.
Who wrote the Bible?
Yeah.
Gee.
So let's see. Do I want to move on to the next one? Oh, I tell you what. We'll do a recap of one of the stories we told last week. So I'm going to ask you to pronounce this person's name because I cannot. But Wisconsin voters elected Janet
Protaskowitz.
Maybe. Protasowitz?
Yeah, that's
anyway.
Protaskowitz.
Yeah, so she was elected to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which is really fantastic because she beat out the Trump loyalist Daniel Kelly with more than 200,000 votes. Janet Protasowitz,
damn Daniel,
has been elected to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and what is another loss for Donald Trump's allies and Donald Trump actually. Because he endorsed him.
It's a loss for crazy people everywhere.
Pretty much. 55% to 55.5% to 44.5%. Daniel Kelly, Trump loyalist and election denier, lost his bid for the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat. Liberals will now have controlling vote in matters such as women's health, voting rights, liberty over bodily autonomy, gerrymandering, voting districts, and marriage equality.
So, are we going to talk about Trump?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna save this good joke for that.
All right. So I'm gonna go on to the next thing first. So as of yesterday, April the 4th, we're recording on April the 5th. So yesterday was the 4th. Let's just say last week.
I did the same thing today at work. I set a whole meeting for yesterday. And I was like, yeah.
Finland is now officially the 31st full member nation of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So NATO. Yeah.
That's NATO.
NATO's border with Russia doubles now, as the Finnish border with Russia is about 832 miles long. So an invasion by Russia into Finland would be met with the very mighty advanced military force of the Finland people, but backed, of course, by the support of the other 30 member nations. So I think that's great.
You know how the Finnish can keep people out of their country? They just have that fermented fish in a can and just throw it out, and people are like, oh, no, run away.
Well, good news for everyone else besides the members of NATO is that Sweden is on the cusp of also joining. I think the only thing that's really holding them up. Yeah, because then they can just give those Swedish fish to everybody.
They're Finnish fish, aren't they?
Well, the Finnish fish are the ones that stink. The Swedish fish are the candies, the gummies.
You just keep them busy chewing on it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, welcome to NATO. You all get a packet of Swedish fish.
Yeah, as a thank you to everyone in the NATO alliance, everyone gets Swedish fish and Finnish sardines.
How many people be like, no thanks. No thanks.
What do you do with these?
Mexico brought hot tamales.
Is Mexico in NATO? Yeah, probably.
They have to be, right?
They're part of North Atlantic, so I guess so. All right. So we can move on now to Trump, who yesterday, again, last week, if you're listening on Monday,
Trump wasn't happy.
Yeah, he
looked grumpy.
This is a very first for the United States, in that on Tuesday, April the 4th, 2023, a former president of these United States was arrested, booked, and arraigned for alleged felonies in respect to 34 individual crimes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We were reading them off last night. Gabrielle was like, can you believe this? I was like, yes, but he did them every day. So you kind of like forgot the old ones and just kept being appalled by the new ones. And when you list them out all together, you're like, holy shit.
I didn't understand what they said when I was listening to the MSNBC, but I thought either they said that it was 16, the indictment was 16 pages long, or 60.
Oh, dude, it has to be 60.
Well, if it's 60, then I imagine that in my
2
head,
pages for each at least.
Yeah, but in my head, I'm figuring that they had to get to the point where they were like, all right, we're only going to be able to fit 30. We only have 60 pages left in this printer. We're only going to be able to fit 34 on here. So, including falsifying records concerning campaign payments to Stormy Daniels, falsifying records concerning campaign payments to a former Trump Tower doorman who alleges was paid $30,000 to kill a story about Donald Trump's affair with an unknown woman who gave birth
to a bastard child.
Yeah, to an unclaimed child. I mean,
but then he had to recant it.
Yeah.
But he still paid them, right?
See, that's the thing.
I need you to not tell that story. That's totally not true.
That is the thing that I mean, if so Donald Trump denies it, but he still pays the guy $30,000 to not talk about it.
Do you think there's like a kid out there right now that, like, as soon as Trump became president, and he was like, what the fuck? Why do I do that?
Why am I always using my hands?
Just in there, kind of like gets his mom
and in
makeups,
my voice, it goes way high.
Puts a little orange on his face. He's like, fuck, my hair and everything. Oh, my God. Poor kid. Listen, you're not alone.
Yeah, that's right. There's 5 others. Also,
no one likes Tiffany either.
Also falsifying records concerning payments made to Playboy model Karen McDougal. So in all, 11 felony counts related to false records made in invoices made to Michael Cohen, former lawyer and fixer. 11 felony counts related to checks paid to Cohen from Trump using campaign funds. 12 felony counts related to improper and intentionally incorrect record keeping in relation to campaign and personal fund disbursement made by Donald Trump. Donald Trump did plead guilty. No, I'm sorry.
Donald Trump pled guilty to getting laid.
Yeah, he pled not guilty to all 34 counts. He denies all allegations about affairs and wrongdoing.
Where's Trent when you need him? Because I know he does a wild.
That's the thing is I almost kind of appreciate that Trent's not here specifically for this, because I think that Trent would, if I were to do an impression of Trent, which is going to come off very poorly, I'm just going to speak in my voice. I think it's unfair to Trump.
Trent has become a little bit of a sympathizer.
I understand the appeal of Trump for a lot of people.
Well, you don't have to use your brain.
Well, I mean, you just take what you're told, or you take what you hear, and you go, "Well, that sounds most interesting." So I'm gonna align myself with that.
They've got what Occam's razor is, right?
Yeah,
they have the dumb reverse of that. Right?
Yes, yeah, I agree.
I don't even know what it would be. It's just the most face value, easily drawn yarn.
Yeah,
is the most probable explanation.
Here's a respect to truth and intelligence.
Yeah,
and then over here, just cast aside is Donald Trump and everything that he says.
It's Occam's razor where you blow past the contradictions. That would have stopped the whole process.
Yeah, well, I kind of wish Trump. I kind of wish Trump was here, but I kind of wish Trent was here, because ultimately one of the things that I still want to come back to eventually, and we'll wait for Trent. But this idea that the country was safer when Trump was president. Mm-hmm. And this idea that there are people out there and that believe that Donald Trump would have prevented the war in Ukraine somehow, because he wouldn't have. He basically opened the door for Russia to march in there. That people believe that Trump did them favors with tax breaks and things like that, which he didn't. I mean, ultimately, some people, the fact that people got COVID checks, they attribute that to Trump, and I've asked questions.
It was the Democrats, the House.
Yeah, it was the House and the House and the Senate that voted on it and then sent it to his desk.
Imagine if we had Lyndon B. Johnson grades of recordings of Trump in the Oval Office. He would be talking to Lady Bird.
Yeah.
Tell Tyler,
yeah,
there's a hurricane. What do we do? Can I drive my tank that I had for my parade into it? No. Sounds like Tyler needs to be fired because I want to nuke the hurricane.
Yeah. I think I in my head, I think that because it takes so little to just go to accept some of the things that he said. I mean, I don't know. I can't wrap my head around how it happens that people fall, because they look at him because of the things he says, the rhetoric that he spouts. It makes him sound like he's a tough man.
But he says it in a way that he's in the fourth grade, which maybe that's a good thing he wasn't around his children, because when they were in the fourth grade, if they were hanging out with their dad, they would come up with some crazy shit, and he'd be like, "They have great ideas. We're gonna climb on the side of the building to the top of the tower, just like Donkey Kong." He's so stupid. Every idea he has, dude. The judge from the indictment had to go tell his lawyers, "You're gonna have to make sure he that if he starts saying he's gonna incite violence, like he did say, that's a fucking problem."
Yeah, agreed.
And then he comes back, and what they did after this was over, they all share, Trump Jr. and all of them share pictures of the judge's daughter.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's how an insanely stupid, insane person works.
Well, the next time, and I'm trying to find my notes exactly because I've got so many pieces of paper.
That's what someone getting kicked and dragged to jail looks like.
I totally agree. So the next hearing for this particular indictment, child charge, whatever, isn't until December, so it's 8 months away. So these are the pending indictments in investigations that are still to come that could potentially see, because I think the Georgia District Attorney in Fulton County has made some sort of hints. I guess they've given away some sort of hints that there is a pending indictment that could come from that. So these are the other the major indictments, their charges in I guess.
Before you read those, are you talking about from him giving the call to the election office saying I need 68,300 some odd votes or whatever?
11,280 votes.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
That is a number that I will probably never forget.
Never forget it. Yeah.
So these are the pending
that 9/11
investigations that are still going on, that are either ongoing investigations or have already been presented to grand juries. So the first one, Georgia election tampering. So of course, what you were talking about with the president was on the phone with Brad Raffensperger, the state Secretary of State for the state of Georgia, where he told him, "I need 11,780 votes," which was one more than they needed to win the state of Georgia.
Just got to make sure, Brad.
Yeah. There is also the federal investigation into the insurrection and attempted coup of the United States on January 6th.
That little chestnut?
Yeah, in January 6, 2000.
The gaggle of insurrectionists?
That is an ongoing investigation that, of course, Trump is the main focus on. The last one that I have written here is the federal investigation into classified documents removed from the White House and stored unsecurely, as well as denied archives and FBI requests to return the 100% of the documents, where he lied and said that he had done it.
Oh, because
then they
even
had
if it's declassified, even if he just takes it with him, then it's automatic.
Yeah, apparently he has Pope-like powers of forgiveness and declassification.
Yeah.
That's another reference to the Catholic Church. That's two for today.
These documents are basically saints.
Yeah. So that's continuing to be ongoing. The last thing that we're going to talk about in this half, before we have John Kocsis on, John Kocsis Jr. Sorry,
John Kocsis Jr., not his dad.
John Kocsis Jr. Esquire.
PhD.
These are things that the news media missed yesterday while reporting on Trump's indictment, from everything from his airplane taking off in West Palm Beach and arriving in New York to his departure from the LaGuardia to Trump Tower, driving on the roads and traffic and whatnot.
Tom Cruise is hanging off the wing like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, this is everything that was missed while it was unnecessarily reported about Trump's specific motions and actions and moving around and whatnot. There were 10,000 students that marched on Tennessee's state capitol.
Yes, that was awesome.
Yeah, in retaliation. 10,000 students in Tennessee marched on the Capitol building, and basically to protest the loose gun laws that in Tennessee.
But by Trump math, 10,000. There was
50 million.
There was 2 trillion people there.
It's our planet has never seen this many people.
We didn't know.
In retaliation, the Tennessee Republican legislature, the House, is in the process of expelling 3 sitting Democrats from the Tennessee legislature.
Illegal.
From the House. Yeah, that because they broke decorum and went outside and stood with the students in the protest.
Illegal.
It's that's a crazy one. The leader of the Democratic Party in Florida was arrested by law enforcement at the order of Ron DeSantis this week. Ron DeSantis, Esquire, governor, for protesting after dark. Apparently,
dickhead PhD.
Yeah, the First Amendment apparently applies not at all in Florida after sundown.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the sign when you drive.
Yeah, that's right. It says Governor Ron DeSantis, or State of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and don't protest after dark.
Doesn't count after dark.
Yeah. On the camera, it's power. It's the power gets shut off. And finally, former chief of staff to Maryland Governor Larry Hogan was shot and killed after a shootout in Nashville, Tennessee. After a 3-week-long manhunt, Roy McGrath was wanted in an investigation, federally charged of fraud and theft and forgery.
Oh, and he wasn't good at a shootout.
Well, yeah. Apparently, well, you're in a shootout with the FBI. You just put your hands up.
No, it's hilarious. That guy deserved to get shot.
But those are 3 of the things that were missed.
I don't know why. I didn't hear the last 2 you did. Like I didn't.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Those are things that legitimately the mainstream news, which I'm not a fan of any of them. CNN, right. MSNBC, Fox News, but none of them reported on any of this because they were busy covering Trump's motorcade to Trump Tower on Monday night. They were busy.
There he is in the car. You can see the fumes of KFC going through the sunroof.
They were busy trying to procrastinate. No, they were. What is it? What is it? The groundhog does. He foretells the future, but he's prognosticate. They were trying to prognosticate on which door he was going to enter through. Would he come over to the cameras and talk? Would he wave? Would he give a thumbs up? No, I'm not
talking. I'm very sad.
Instead, he gave the Black Power from Trump Tower as he was coming out.
They'll never get me.
The whole thing's absurd.
Yeah.
And I fully admit and recognize that he is innocent until proven guilty.
I do have something here. Marjorie Taylor Greene showed up to that shit.
She did.
no one wants you here, bitch, for one.
Yeah.
But two, does she think he's going to divorce Melania and come get that little turd nugget or something? Why is she there with her man? So like, what is that?
I don't have an answer for that.
It's so disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for
she
that.
must be needing a pardon soon because this.
Well, technically, I think she's also being investigated because there were a number of representatives that did tours of the Capitol. Days before the insurrection.
That woman is such just a menace to society.
Agreed.
And then they did that 60 Minutes on her, and that should not have existed ever.
Totally agree.
Dude, do a 60 Minutes on anybody else almost.
Yeah.
Just not Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, please. Well, unless it's the To Catch a Predator. I would watch 60 Minutes of To Catch a Predator on Matt Gaetz. I absolutely would watch that.
Yeah, as soon as Matt Gaetz gets called on To Catch a Predator, he's just going, Dad, they got me. I was here to see a boy named Philip because I was going to fill him up. Matt Gaetz, creep extraordinaire.
I was not prepared for that.
Look, I got puns all day.
Look, when we rehearsed this show before, that's one.
I just hide it.
You shouldn't hid that one. All right. Before we go to break, I want to introduce a new segment that I told Zac about yesterday that I thought that this would be really.
It's great.
This would be really funny. So what this is called is it's called the Nothing Reading Corner, and it's just understand it's completely out of context. And I don't know if we're going to get in trouble for any of this stuff. I don't think so.
Well, you will.
Yeah, it'll be me. You can contact our
Barrett,
lawyer.
it was a good idea, but he made it.
That's right. So what we're going to do is every week we will read no less than 3 paragraphs randomly selected out of basically any book.
Right.
And this is the audience participation part, is that we want you to tell us what book we're reading from. So you can email us. The address is theshow@theallaboutnothing.com, or you can tweet us at AAN_pod. And with that said, we're going to start the first of the Reading Nothing Corner.
And now, the All About Nothing podcast presents the Reading Nothing Corner.
This is going to be it. All right. But then all of a sudden, as Clement edged his gaze to the right a little, there were the massive dark glass tubes of the Renaissance Center. 5 towers, the tallest one 700 feet high, standing like a Buck Rogers monument over downtown. From here on, the riverfront was being purified with plain lines and clean cement, modern structures that reminded Clement a little of Kansas City or Cincinnati. Everybody putting their new convention centers and sports arenas out where you could see them. They had even built a modernistic new shopping center in Lawton just before the terrible spring twister hit, the same one that picked Clement's mom right out of the yard, running from the house to the storm cellar and carried her off without leaving a trace. Clement would swivel his gaze over the downtown and come around north, looking at all the parking lots that were like fallow fields, among stands of old 1920s office buildings and patches of new cement. Past Greektown, tucked in down there, he almost smelled the garlic past the 9-story Detroit police headquarters, big and ugly. A glimpse of top floors of the Wayne County Jail beyond the police department, and on the slender rise of the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, where they had tried nail Clement's ass one time and it failed. Clement liked the views from high places over past the years of the flatlands of Oklahoma and feeling the sky pressing down on him. It was the same sky when you could see it, when it wasn't thick with dampness, but it seemed a lot like higher in Detroit.
I'm James Earl Jones, and this has been the Reading Nothing Corner, presented by the All About Nothing podcast.
All right. So just some hints for the book, because I don't know either. And I'm not going to tell Barrett when I do.
Just some hints. Is
it a book about a sports figure?
It isn't. If you want hints, I guess I don't know how to.
Atlas Shrugged.
Okay, I will say I will give you this hint. There is a television show coming out this summer based on this book.
Is it a thriller?
No, it's a crime drama.
It's a crime.
Yeah.
thriller, right? I don't know.
So
I don't know this book either. You audience, this is where you come in.
that's right. You all figure it out and email us or tweet us, and then we'll say your name on the air or on the show.
Shoot, we should have a prize.
We'll think of something. Yeah, we might send you a T-shirt from our Amazon store.
Hey,
all right,
or a hat. We're working on hats.
That's right. Coming up after the break, we have got friend of the show, John Kocsis Jr., who is the broadcast and media. My friend.
I'm just kidding.
John Kocsis Jr., broadcast and media relations manager with the Columbia Fireflies. Coming right after this.
I am the Diligent Dabber from The Dad Who Dabs, and you're listening to the All About Nothing podcast. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
All right, welcome back to the show, the All About Nothing podcast. Zac King, Barrett Gruber. We are sans Trent Clark, but we have invited a friend of the show. We have John Kocsis on the line, and I'm just going to introduce you, John, so that everyone knows who you are. John Kocsis Jr. is the broadcast and media relations manager, Columbia Fireflies, single A affiliate to the Kansas City Royals. Season starts on April 6th, which is tomorrow, which by the time you're listening to this, they've already swept the Augusta Green Jackets, right?
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
John Kocsis Jr. also is the Shakespeare of the Columbia Fireflies. He is. Are you the first author of the Fireflies?
Yeah, I don't know that anyone else on our staff. Well, I know no one on our staff currently has written a book, but I don't think anyone past has. I don't know all the interns who have been through Columbia since 2016. But
that's fair.
I'd say that's a fair assessment.
We're just gonna say it's fact. The name of the book, it comes out on June 12th. The name of the book is Play-by-Play from the Minors, Profiles of Baseball Broadcasters from Scranton to Yakima. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, Yakima is up in Washington.
Yakima,
State.
okay. Again, it's expected out on June the 12th. You can order it through Amazon, and there's a link in the show notes so you can get that. John Kocsis Jr. So I'm going to just do this because this is the introduction that they have for you on Amazon. Have you read this, or did you write it?
I may have written it. This process started in 2020, so like the amount of different things they've had me fill out for McFarland Books is a lot.
So this is the about the author. John Kocsis Jr. started his career as a video production intern in the Charleston, West Virginia in 2017, prior to picking up the mic for the West Virginia Power in 2018. The avid baseball fan moved from Hagerstown for his first lead broadcaster role of the Suns in 2019 and has been with the Columbia Fireflies since February of 2020. He lives in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know that I wrote that one. I think that one was written for me. I normally try and shove somewhere in there that I'm from Cleveland. So,
yeah. Well,
I feel like I would have put that.
Well, so the first thing I want to talk about before we get the book is so the Firefly season. Starts tomorrow. Again, if you're listening to this on Monday, it was on Thursday. But you're going to get to travel with the team this year for all of the away games. That is very exciting.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it. This will be the first time since 2019 that I'm traveling with the team. The pandemic made things really difficult, right?
Yeah.
There were rules that prevented it, and then it was like, well, we haven't had to budget for this for a couple years, so now that we're kind of through all of the red tape that was caused by COVID-19, we're finally back to the normal in the Carolina League and in Columbia. And I'll be able to, spend a week in Charleston starting on Tuesday and
very
be
cool.
able to kind of profile the team. And, when you're on the bus with the team and stuff, you're picking up a lot more, knowing the guys a lot better. And
yeah, sure.
that leads to telling some great stories, which kind of is also what that book is mostly from, the whole idea of it came from anytime you're on the road, right? You call a baseball game and then you got to eat dinner and it's 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
So the only thing that's open is some random hole in the wall bar.
Yeah.
And you sit down at a bar stool and some dude like Barrett sitting next to you. And of course, Barrett, he's an outgoing guy. He's going to try and talk to you. And all of them ask the same handful of questions after finding out what you do for a living.
I'm buying John drinks. I'm asking him where he's going.
Trying to have my
later.
patty melt and my Miller Lite. Can you leave me alone?
No, I think that's really cool. So, but it's not just your stories, right? These are stories that you've exchanged, you've gotten from other broadcasters, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the first chapter to kind of introduce everyone to myself and who's kind of compiling it, and then after that. We talked to 12 different broadcasters, including 2 major league broadcasters. So Rob Ford with the Houston Astros and Joe Block with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then a couple of AAA broadcasters as well. So
that's
we
awesome.
kind of span all the way across the states.
As long as that fucker Joe Buck's not in there.
Dude, I thought, for a second, I was like, Joe Buck.
So I did make it a requirement that they had spent some time in minor league baseball, and Joe, his dad was there
nepotism?
before him, so he got to start in the majors.
Yeah.
So you have Brockmeyer in the book?
Brockmeyer was a good reason why I had a lot of the promotions in there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was like, if they made an HBO show that was that funny off of it, maybe we can find some things. And we found some Tumbleweed Tuesdays. We found Tanya Harding Mini Bat Night.
That was great.
We found some really fun ones.
The best part of Brockmeyer, then, there's the fattest man in baseball, followed by the second fattest man ever in baseball.
My dad said one time, because he watched Brockmeyer and he was a big fan of the show. He said, because he went through the minor leagues. He made it all the way up to AAA Philadelphia and St. Louis. And one of the things he said was that there are two programs, there's a TV show and a movie that have the most realistic that give you the most realistic impression of what it's like to be in the minor leagues. And that was Bull Durham and Brockmeyer. Like those two.
Do you know the story behind Bull Durham too?
I don't. What is the story?
So, the writer of it was a former minor league player for the Stockton Ports.
Okay.
So he had played A-ball for 2 or 3 years, and then he was like, all right, I kind of know what this is like, and I want to be a screenwriter, so we're going to merge the two.
Yeah.
And then he wrote Bull Durham.
That's, and Bull Durham's one of my favorite baseball movies. The other one is Benchwarmers.
Out of here.
No one can say you don't have range.
Yeah, no. So I mean, it's.
Oh yeah, we're all sitting here, Barrett, like, for the love of the game. They're all coughing. No, they're not.
Major League. Major League is one of my favorite. Was easily one of my favorite baseball stories.
Wild thing, you walk everything.
Ball 4, ball 8, ball 12. Yeah,
I've said that more than once on a broadcast.
Yeah, and honestly, I look forward to your broadcast this year, especially you being the play-by-play on away games, because I watched throughout the course of the year last year. I watched several of the games via the MILB TV or whatever it is through the Columbia Fireflies website. So.
And now it's nice because if you have MLB TV, you don't even have to buy the extra thing. You just have to say the Royals are your favorite team, and then it lets you watch those games. And what's nice is picking your favorite team doesn't determine who you get to watch at the major league level. You still get all the major league games.
Except for the Braves.
Yeah, except for the blackout ones, which are the ones that you want to watch in your area.
Right, yeah.
That's neither here nor there. I did read something the other day that was this was like public stuff. This was kind of like a recap that I think it was Fox did of the last like PDL meeting. And they said that their biggest thing for the next broadcast deal is to end blackouts, and that made me happy.
I saw that. Yeah. I saw that. I
think that's something everyone can celebrate.
Absolutely.
Blackouts are so stupid,
and it makes no sense. Who cares? Most people aren't even paying attention to commercials, so it's not like.
Well, so I think it's realistically just something that's super outdated. So the way blackouts started was the way we think of it in the NFL. If you don't sell all the tickets to the game, then they're going to black it out in your area.
Right.
So I think like that 90s verbiage of like, oh, if you're watching on TV, you're not going to buy a ticket and spend money with us, just kind of got dragged into the baseball language there, which is stupid because they make more money off of TV deals now than they do off of tickets from people sitting there.
Exactly. I completely agree. So we discussed what the book was about. Now, throughout the course of our relationship, I've learned that you have 2 younger brothers and a twin.
Yeah.
Does you getting a book published make you the best son?
That's tough. It's hard to compare yourself to a 7-year-old without sounding like a total douche.
That's what I was hoping you'd bring up.
That he's 7? Yeah. I was about to say, was he pissed you were the junior?
I was just really hoping that somewhere at Thanksgiving, you and your 7-year-old brother look at each other, or even how old's the next oldest?
13.
So at some point, you and the 7-year-old and you and the 13-year-old get into some sort of argument, and then you just pull the I'm a published author.
Authors get second helpings of mashed potatoes.
What I'll say is the only petty thing I do with the 7-year-old and the 13-year-old is, and I think I told you this story last night, Barrett. So for you, it's a little bit of a repeat. But
I'll
for
tune
Zac,
out.
You'll appreciate it. The only thing I do is I play just enough video games to make sure I'm still better than both of them at
Yeah.
the video games they're currently playing.
Absolutely.
That way there's no bragging rights they can have. And then, like, if they try and play a game from, like, when I was a kid, no shot they can beat me at that. I've got
of
hundreds
course.
of hours on that, you know?
Absolutely. I dedicated blood, sweat, and tears to this, all right? Just like my book.
No, I learned last night that John was actually a master at Madden. Like,
Yeah,
really
so
good
once
at
upon a
Madden.
time, I don't think any longer I'd be able to, because the last time I legitimately played Madden was like 2019. It was pre-pandemic. There were interns that wanted to play against me, and I still won, but like it had changed a lot then. Now it's been 4 or 5 years, but in college, I used to play on live. I was like ranked in the top 1%, and
Damn.
like I had this thing where I would not play for the first 3 quarters. I would just let my controller sit there because people kept quitting. So I would never finish a game. My do not finish rate was so high. So I would play with Johnny Manziel's Browns. I would not touch the controller for 3 quarters.
Now
In the
I feel
fourth
old.
quarter, I would score 4 touchdowns and just beat a team. And the voice chats on those, because that was back before those were monitored and people would get banned, were wild.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I was about to say, I was like, you didn't play NCAA football, but when you were in college, it was probably done, right?
So NCAA was a thing, I think my freshman year, 2013 was the last
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
right?
13
So
was
the
my
last
freshman
year.
year would have been the last year of NCAA, yeah.
See,
Man.
I got so good at NCAA football, never played Madden that much. Just downloaded 23 because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I played a game and I was like, stupid game, and quit.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to keep
It's-
playing the show.
It's so much more complex than it used to be. Like I
Dude.
feel like you used to just be able to run slants and run on the
Oh,
inside
yeah.
with a good line and you'd be set.
The
And
best,
you'd
dude, you're absolutely right. The best franchise of sports games were the hits, the blitz.
Yeah.
They were just so much fun. Like,
Tecmo Bowl.
got into hockey because of NHL hits.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the Chell games are still pretty good. I mean, we used to pregame with Chell. We would play Chell Hell. So anytime someone scored a goal against you, you'd take a shot.
Yeah.
That was a fun
Absolutely.
time. And it kind of sucks because, like, if you were bad at the game, you got worse at the game. Right? Like, you know?
That's how I feel about Call of Duty. Every time I'm bad at it, I just get worse.
Well, it sounds like you don't have a whole hell of a lot of time for it, but have you played the new show at all yet?
I haven't played the new one. I'm still on the Shohei one, but I'll likely be downloading it around our All-Star break, because normally when I do it, then I casually play for a month or two, and then in the off season I just
Well, they have
it
a what do they call it?
The cooperative
companion
mode?
app,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and you can now take your picture of your face and put it into the game, and it is a trip.
His hit now
There's a catch.
Zac says that his looks a lot like him. The one that I did looks almost nothing like me except for freckles. Like the only thing it picked up on was freckles, because I had this beard a few days ago when I scanned my face into the game, and
Yeah, it just gives
it gave
you
me
that, like
the
this.
no, it didn't even give me that. It gave me like a little patchy thing on my chin, and I'm like, that looks like cancer. That's
the
not.
game's trying to throw hands.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's funny though.
brutal.
It works really good. I don't know what Barrett did taking his picture, but
I will show you the picture later.
Well, he was taking it with his Nokia from 2000.
That's right.
I'm like, Barrett, this picture is a picture of your foot. No wonder it didn't work.
It's the only thing.
And you should get that cancer checked out.
It's the only thing San Diego Studios would link with specifically was the 2004 Nokia. That was the.
And what's crazy is that's where he has the world record snake score.
Yeah. That's on his
Like, it
LG
was-
chocolate.
It was in an Applebee's back when they had endless apps, and we
Yeah.
had a 45-minute wait.
Yeah. Oh, I'm under the table right now playing Snake. You just can't see it. My
Barrett was
hand
4 margaritas in.
So tell us about the upcoming season with the Fireflies, because in looking at the schedule, there are some giveaway nights that are going to be really cool, which I made sure that all of my game nights are on bobblehead night, because
Yeah, I'm
I love
stoked about these
bobbleheads.
bobbleheads, Barrett. So, just from being in Columbia, we really haven't done a lot of bobbleheads. And initially the thing was, we're a new franchise, so they only did one, and it was David Wright, because that was the last year with the Battle Creek, or not the Battle Creek Bombers, rather the Capital City Bombers.
Right.
And then the second year they did like a Mason one for Grateful Dead night, and they were like, we want to wait until we get major league players and stuff. And it was always like, but bobbleheads are fun, right? So last off season, the other guy that sells corporate and myself were tasked with a challenge. It was, if we could find a sponsor that wants to sponsor bobbleheads, they'll do a full series. And
that's awesome.
I'll give Jason credit. It was like a week later, and he had it sold, and he was like, "We got 4." So,
that's so cool, though.
Yeah, 3 of them.
We sold a bobblehead series, and people are going nuts. Like, and that was the one thing I was like, I knew bobbleheads would sell well for like the game tickets and stuff. I was afraid of what would happen on social, if it would be enough of an interaction, but people have been going nuts. So
you
people at the top who make that decision, they were like, okay, yeah, we're definitely doing bobbleheads from now on. Like, this is a really good thing. So thankfully, it just took one really good sale from the other corporate sales guy, and now that we've got all the drawings and stuff, it's great. And one of the really cool things is we don't have like a rendering of it yet, but Ben Kuderna is one of the people who will be featured on it, and we've announced that. But he's on the team again this year. So we're hoping we'll be able to get like a picture of him with the bobblehead, because that'll just be a cool, like,
that would be,
him nodding next to a bobblehead. This is Sports Center commercial for itself, right there.
Oh yeah. Never underestimate the power of knickknacks.
Yeah. No, ultimately, like, I love the T-shirt nights, because we almost every Friday that we went was a T-shirt night. So you'd walk in and you'd get a free T-shirt, whether it was sponsored by Columbia Cap, the transport, or some, I don't know, but those were some of my favorite things, because it's really nice to have something with the name on it that you didn't have to go in and spend a decent chunk of money. Because
I think it's fantastic.
And especially for you, you've got 2 daughters who are growing, so you're constantly trying to buy new clothing for your kids.
I just get
new shirts for the summer.
I just get large free shirts, and then they wear those for the next 5 or 6 years.
Well, it's awesome. The last game you and I went to together for Amy's birthday, they did the free hat night when we got that yellow one. This year I went to Goodwill, and they tagged the Joker for like $3. I was like, you sons of bitches, this was free hat night. You can't do this.
You heard that here.
Goodwill is wild.
Zach goes into Goodwill.
I used to manage a Goodwill, so I know.
And I think one of the other really cool things is, of course, the fireworks. I mean, I
love that ballpark. We had we met the Avengers. Sorry.
Yeah, we got to meet Black Panther and Black Widow. So 2 of the
I don't think you're allowed to say that.
Trent's not here. Trent should have said that. I'm gonna bleep that out.
It just makes it worse.
Yeah, that makes it worse for sure.
Well, I did have some questions for John too. I'll let you get back to it. So, right down the street from the Fireflies, Carolina Stadium with the Gamecocks, they're on a roll this year. Have you gotten to see any of that? Check out any of what they're doing right now?
In person, no. I've definitely watched games. Like, I watched them beat up on Mississippi State last week. Holy cow! Like, 25-4 or something.
That was Vanderbilt doing that. Yeah. We did it 8-1 on Mississippi State.
Yeah, they got run ruled.
They're leading the nation in home runs. I think in runs they're second or third. Lowest.
Did you see Wake Forest lost to Elon last night?
They did.
Yeah.
So USC has a really good chance to climb to top 5 after this week if they play LSU close or win the series.
Well, they were
if they win, I think you have to go up to 2 or 1.
If you beat LSU, LSU's got to fall back to at least number 4, and South Carolina should move up to 1 or 2.
1 or 2.
Yeah,
because if you beat number 1 and you're sitting at 6.
Well, and I read, so they're still judging a lot of South Carolina. They're judging all the teams, of course.
Just beat number 13 North Carolina 5-0.
Yeah, there's a good argument to have them in the top of the top 5.
The pitching, for last year having no bullpen, to coming to this year and having just anybody who can go out there can have a day. Period.
Well, what's that freshman? That freshman's
Petrie,
name?
Ethan Petrie.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's unbelievable. The swing is so sweet.
Oh, he does that last little flick on his home runs, that last little suggestion, like to just go.
Yeah.
You always see dudes who have that. Not everybody has that last little oomph to add on their swing, and he can knock it in any side of the park.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, he's that is really good.
It has been 12 years since I've been this excited.
Has it been 12 years?
Yeah.
12 and
2011. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's 12 years ago?
10, 11, 12, because we played for the College World Series 3 times.
Yep.
I'm getting old because that was, what's his name?
All right.
Former Royals name.
Whit Merrifield.
Yeah, Whit Merrifield.
Toronto Blue Jays now. He just got a standing ovation in Kansas City.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think Kansas City beat him, right? Is that what I saw?
Kansas
No
City
doubt.
won their first game like 2 days ago.
It could have been that.
Tuesday was their first win.
I was all excited because the Braves swept St. Louis today.
Which is always fun.
Yeah, because St. Louis is one of those teams that I am constantly reminded.
You guys want to call Pujols? Huh? See if
They-
he's still good?
They constantly reminded, because I have friends that are St. Louis fans that remind me all the time that the Braves were kept out of the playoffs by St. Louis on an infield fly rule that was so deep into left field that
It
the
wasn't.
shortstop wasn't nearby. I mean, the shortstop was like 25 feet from where the ball hit the ground. Oh, I think was it 2012?
Yeah.
2000, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was 12 because that's when they went and won it all, right?
Did St. Louis go through and win it all?
I thought so.
Fuck St. Louis. Sorry. All right. So, what else can we look forward to besides bobbleheads and T-shirts and fireworks from the Columbia Fireflies this season?
May 4th, we're doing Human Cannonball Night. It's a Thursday.
That-
But last year, that was one of the like really big promotions that like people who didn't go to it were like, "Oh my God, I wish you guys would do it again."
So
we
May
said,
4th is
"Okay."
not Star Wars night.
No, because it's a Thursday. So Star Wars Night's May 6th, just because Saturday's easier with kids.
That works. Revenge of the Sixth.
May the Sith be with you.
Yeah. That's the Catholic coming out.
Also, for Barrett more than you, Zach, we are offering to our kids club members and other people that they can learn to be a Jedi before the game.
Just stay away from the
Into
man in
a,
seat G6.
A local dojo.
That is
I
awesome.
absolutely thought that this was going to be something about it's elderly night or it's geriatric night at the ballpark where
it's-
all seats are led to with a ramp.
It harkens back to the pod where you had to have a buffer of empty seats where you sit because children could not be near you. Though
Well,
you,
it's the How I Met Your Mother thing, the Ewok line. Like if girls think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
the Ewok is cute, then they are younger than a certain age and older. So like Barrett, you're probably old enough that you were out of the teddy bear phase when Ewoks were a thing. So
Yeah.
if you're older than that line, you get a discount ticket.
Barry, were you into teddy bears in 1986?
Yes.
He was that weird kid in high school that always had the teddy bear and toted it around.
Has a teddy bear backpack with the arms over and the legs under.
My mother loves to tell the story about when my brother and I were so young, but we'd see the commercials on the TV for the new Care Bear movie. And and
1985?
my mother loves to tell this story that my brother and I came up and she said, and we apparently told her, we want to see the new Care Bear movie. And they go, oh, well, when does it come out? Or where is it playing and when is it playing? At a theater near you. You know, coming soon to a theater near, because that's what they would say in the commercial. So that's the only thing that we would regurgitate back was, it's coming out soon at a theater near you.
Where's our nearest theater? Because that's where it's going to be.
Care Bears, man. Care Bear power.
Well, I have a promotion that, John, you are missing out on if it's not in the plans. And if I'm going to spoil it, then your team is the Fireflies. Okay.
We are.
We all know that.
Yes. Yeah, if you've
Last
been
of
listening
Us-
the last
The
23
Last of
minutes
Us-
and 35
The
seconds.
Last of Us, the television show, video game, is a phenomenon now. Everybody's engulfed in it.
Yeah.
I've heard it's fantastic. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet. I just finished House of Dragon. That's how far behind I am.
If you need to, I can give it to you on a jump drive. You can take on when you're sitting in the hotel.
Well, it's fantastic.
I've got HBO ready to go.
Oh, there you go.
Going on the road trips. Yeah.
Well, the main group in it is the Fireflies.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yes.
we are.
And this logo is exactly, almost to a T, what they spray paint.
Yeah.
All over the
Are you
place.
saying that we might be able to?
There's a copyright infringement on that?
HBO?
Dude, you could, because as soon as I had played The Last of Us before Fireflies had ever come to Columbia and even were named.
Yeah.
And as soon as they came out with this logo, I was like, okay. I've seen that.
That's dangerous.
It's not exactly. It's
close. It is close.
And but it's awesome. So there's definitely a Last of Us zombie night thing, cordyceps that you could have going on there.
We're doing an Area 51 night. I wonder if we
I'll be
can
there.
parlay that. Just kind of like.
Listen. If you can just do a Last of Us night / PlayStation night or something, I don't know.
Can you give us any insight?
We're doing retro video game night. I know it's not retro. Take off retro.
Well,
video game night.
The PlayStation came out in 1995, the original PlayStation, so I think we could fit it in there.
The PlayStation Barrett played came out in 1995.
I played it too. Now I'm taking it John.
So, John, as most of the people that listen to the show probably know, you are a Cleveland Guardians fan, and because technically their nickname used to be the Tribe, and it's no longer appropriate, we wanted to spitball a few nicknames for the Guardians.
The vibe.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, so and I want your input as well as Zach. But Cleveland lost to the Yankees in the division series, so instead of the Wahoos, I was thinking the Womp Womps.
Is there a womp womp for that joke available? What does this one do?
I don't know. Nothing.
You guys have the prices right? Like, what about the
That wasn't.
It's the best I had available. There you go.
There it is.
I'm not. I don't ever run the board. They don't let me. Legal issues.
Touches a lot of buttons. I also let's see. They did finish first in the AL Central though, so that was good. Cleveland did well last season. I don't know. I honestly because you can't call them the Wahoos, you can't call them the Tribe anymore. Guards. I mean, you could shorten Guardians to Guards, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Lake Erie's got a lot of perch fish, so maybe the perch.
The walleyes.
Big walleye, yeah. Big walleye area. You're coming up with some good ones. Local media has started to attach to the G's.
Okay, all right.
Which I think is kind of weird.
It's a little.
Right?
It's
They
a little
play
easy.
exclusively G-Unit walkout songs for everybody.
I don't know.
It's strictly Tupac and like Slim Shady.
They're stuck in late '90s to mid 2000s hip hop.
Yeah, it's very strange for a city that prides itself on rock and roll.
Yeah, that's
You
fair.
can still be the Wahoos. You just don't be Chief Wahoo.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people still call them the Tribe.
yeah, I
which
see that too.
I think
is
that's
interesting. Like they related to family. And I think ultimately the big thing was like anything correlated with Chief Wahoo was the problem.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily the name as much as it was the red-faced mascot.
Well,
So
that's-
I saw a Snopes article that I did not read, and I'll run it by you. What were the Cleveland, when they were the Cleveland Indians, named after the first Native American player?
So that's a really tough one.
Right.
So the history is actually in the 50s, the Plain Dealer, or not the 50s, maybe it was like the 30s. The Plain Dealer ran like a contest, and Indians was voted more than the other three names because they were the Cleveland Naps, named
Yes.
after Nap Lajoie. So after he like retired and stopped showing up, they were like,
He was
oh
sleeping,
well,
but it's fine.
we should remake this name and do something other than this guy that hasn't been associated us for forever. And so the Indians won this thing, and then people were like, should we really name it Indians? That seems kind of racist and stuff. And they were
No,
like,
they
well,
didn't.
no. Luis, they were like, Luis Sockalexis or whatever was the first ever Native American player. And they were like, yeah, so that's why we renamed it. It had nothing to do with the popularity contest 15, 20 years ago. But his story is really sad because he was like an all-star. He was very good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then people started throwing like full bottles of beer at him and stuff. And then
Yeah, that
you know,
doesn't work out
he
well.
ultimately became like a drunkard. And then I believe like the end of his life, and don't quote me on this, but it was like something along the lines of like suicidal, leaves the game. So it was like, you can't honor the guy that you shunned, took away from the game, and made go down this terrible path.
That's having your cake and eating it too. Not today, Cleveland fans. Because it was a Snopes article, and I was like, that's very interesting. So it's good that you're a Cleveland fan and you're informed on that information. So
yeah, the Cleveland sports names are all wonky. Like Paul Brown. No one knows about Paul Brown anymore, right?
I assume the Cleveland Browns were named after like a dog.
I know Big Brad Leroy Brown, right?
Yeah.
Leroy Jenkins? Leroy Jenkins.
Did he just go in there?
Yeah. Did he just go in? Yeah.
Can someone crunch the numbers on?
I want to say that was like the 20th. We just hit the 20th anniversary of.
That for me real quick.
Yeah, we just hit the 20th anniversary on the Leroy Jenkins thing, didn't we?
Don't tell me how old.
It was like last summer. It was 20 years ago, last summer. Right?
I didn't know that.
Someone tell
wasn't
Carrie.
that like League of Legends or something? I didn't realize that
was World of Warcraft.
20 years.
Yeah,
World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Because I was in college 15 years ago. God damn it.
So just an idea, projections on the season. Who are you pulling for, or who do you believe is going to wind up winning it all this season?
In the majors?
Yeah. Yeah,
or in the Carolina League.
Well, let's say in the majors first. We'll work our way down to the Carolina League, and then go ahead and just say Charleston. But no, I'm just kidding.
Every year, it's every year. It doesn't matter. Tampa Bay is ridiculous.
Yeah.
In the majors, no. As a Cleveland fan, I would like to say that Cleveland took a really good jump by getting 2 sluggers in their lineup.
Sure, I agree.
In Zunino and Josh Bell.
I don't like Zunino at all.
No, I don't like him as a catcher, but once Bo Naylor starts playing next month, I think Zunino's mostly a DH at that point.
He talked so much shit at Florida.
Yeah.
to get smoked.
That's also
smoked.
Fair. I like Cleveland a lot, and then LA. Are the Dodgers ever technically out of the World Series talk? Like, when's the last time?
Not in LA.
No, yeah. You almost always have to at least throw them into the mix because
they have the turncoat.
They're paying what's their salary? $180 million a year or something like that.
Yeah,
San Diego's got to be past them now. But San Diego never figures out how to win a game.
Yeah.
Well, and to suspend their best players.
Well, and how do you wind up winning any games if your guys are getting thrown out at their first at bat? No, I mean Machado. Machado got tossed last night.
He argued strike 3.
Well, it was strike 3 because he
sucked
1 second before the timer ran down, which the pitcher was ready. 1 second before the timer ran, he threw his hands up like, no, I need a pause. I need time.
It's on you, big dog.
All he was doing was playing with his feet and adjusting his gloves. And it's like, yeah, I'd toss you too.
Every player is going to get that with these new rules. Everybody's going to get that. It's happening in college. It's happening in the pros.
I like it. I like the timer. I like the fact.
I love the pitch clock, and especially with kids and stuff. Tuesday night games attendance suck, and it sucks because Tuesday nights games go until 10:30.
Oh yeah,
you can't have a third grader staying out until 10:30 on a school night. But now, if you're going 2.5 hours, I can take my kid out. It's 70 degrees tonight. I want to have a beer. Get them some Dippin' Dots, whatever, right?
Yeah, totally agree.
I do like the pitch clock. I'm not against that at all.
I like the pitch clock. I like the fact that the shift is gone.
Because now it's not home run, walk, strikeout. It's, hey, let's hit singles, let's rope together some doubles, and let's
play a little small ball.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Baseball looks more like it did in the Joe Carter days now than it has for a long time. And I don't know, the steroid era was magical for the sport.
Sure.
As much as we look back on it and we go, oh man, I hate it.
No.
Viewership numbers were up like crazy. Attendance was the highest it had been since the 50s. I think going back to something that resembles that game is only good for growing some viewership and some fans.
I think Jose Canseco just sat up in his bed.
I think the only issue, the only real issue I had with the steroid era was the fact that people just weren't honest about it. I know Major League Baseball had rules against it, but they didn't have rules against it until it was an issue.
Well, we're not going to go talk to Mark McGwire about it.
Yeah. So Barrett was that guy who was like, "Hey, if you're looking at my screen while we're playing Halo on the split screen, I'm fine with it, but at least tell me you're doing it."
Yeah, but the whole time,
In a society with rules.
but the whole time I'm playing with Andy Pettit, so you know.
No, Barrett was the guy who got the duct tape and the cardboard and made a divider.
No.
I don't care if you have to lay down to play. I'm on the top screen.
Before we wrap this up, the only thing I'll say is that I used to play Quake and Doom like LAN parties
Yes.
at one of my former jobs.
So
Did
a
you say
LAN
a
party,
LAN party?
a LAN
LAN
party
party,
is
yeah.
when everybody brought
Brings their computer.
500-pound televisions with an Xbox
Yeah.
or a 300-pound computer and monitor.
Yeah.
And got in the same room, and the room became 500 degrees.
Well, so here's what we did. I worked for a company when I moved here to Columbia, South Carolina, and I was made the third shift supervisor. And there was nothing to do on third shift because everything we supported was closed. So we would have Quake or Doom on diskettes. You remember those? Yeah.
Also,
So
floppy drives, floppy disks.
so what we do, or CDs, whatever.
Don't copy that.
But we
floppy.
would play, and constantly I would look over my shoulder to see what Ross was doing, not to cheat, but just to see if he was looking over his shoulder at what I was doing.
Not to cheat.
Yeah, Barrett was the biggest cheater out of everybody there.
That's not true.
I went to game design school. We still played Unreal Tournament
Oh yeah.
while we were supposed to be learning.
You know, Zach, what's funny is he's saying he did this while he was working on third shift, which like dates him even more because like this thing that
Yeah.
you know I hadn't even heard of. Not only was he like doing it as like a kid, no, he was an adult when this was a thing.
I constantly remind him that I was 9 years old in 1997, and he was already
Graduating
graduating
high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I want to point out on that is that
Or I was 8 and
You were in high school when I was born, Garrett. Or Barrett.
yeah. No, that's fair. That's exactly that is. Yeah, I was. Yeah, because my high school was 5 years long.
Yeah, when I first met Barrett, I was like, "Oh, you're how old?" I was like, "So you're born in like what 80?" And he's like 70.
Phew.
Oh, you never had one of those crooked numbers. What is the?
And
All
that's when you had to like check the list. You were like on the website seeing like, okay, people in my area that are offenders.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
And then I go down and go, "Oh, okay, stranger danger."
No,
I don't tell you,
yeah.
stranger danger.
They used to put signs in front of people's yards.
Yeah, Barrett, your sign is still there.
Barrett's like Leonardo DiCaprio, but it's with friends. He tries to stay young, so if like you're above 30, he doesn't make new friends that are above 30.
I want to thank everybody for listening to the last episode of the All About Nothing podcast.
Barrett keeps pulling the sign up. The sheriff's department keeps putting it back.
I have children. This isn't a thing.
They can't
Look,
take your kids away from you.
well, they can. South Carolina is notorious about taking
Not for
kids away.
peeing in public and then smiling about it.
So,
That's what I was going to hit with an orange paper.
John, give us the hard sell on why everyone needs to come out and check out the Fireflies this season.
One, it's I would say the best value summer night activity to do in Columbia.
Agreed.
If you
I
buy
agree.
in advance, you can get tickets for $5. Your entire family can come out here for $20. Say you come out on a Thursday night and you're all adults, you can have $2 beers.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't beat that. Same thing with Tuesday nights. And then where you go on like a Saturday, then you're getting fireworks. And if you go on Friday, guess what? Now you're getting some free giveaways. So no matter what, there's added value. And it's not just a baseball game, it's a community event. So even if you don't like baseball, which all of us love baseball on this podcast, but even if you don't like baseball, you come on out for a great social activity. You can have a couple of drinks, you can have some good snacks, whatever it is you're into, and you're probably spending less than $50.
I think that's what surprised me the most when I went was the things besides baseball that there was to do.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, if
was
you have
great.
kids, you take them over to the inflatable area. They don't watch a single pitch of the game, but
Right.
you don't have to worry about them going, "Can we go home?" Like they're having fun.
I will. Excuse me. I will be going to quite a few games this coming up season. My mom wants to go very badly, and I promised her we will be going.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
Barrett will have someone his age.
Exactly.
I don't actually have anything to really I don't have any jokes.
God, that's why I love John.
I don't have any. I have quite literally nothing to say.
He's like, you were born after wired internet was a thing.
Barrett was 30 before he knew what a cell phone was.
Hold on.
Back in my day, we played with sticks and mud in the backyard. That's what was fun.
A can and a piece of rope, and you threw it to your buddy.
And you talked between the houses.
And you couldn't hear what he's saying. You eventually just start yelling, and your parents come and talk to you for being loud.
Yeah.
That was technology in 1964.
64. All right.
57.
That's going to do it for this episode.
Thank you, Nick the Geek, engineer and producer, owner and operator of GOT Sound Studio. Check out details on how you can utilize his talent and production expertise at gotsoundstudio.com. Thanks to Muff the Producer. Follow him on Instagram at Muff the Producer. Thanks to Trent Clark, a.k.a. DJ Lonzo, currently serving as the house DJ at the main course in Columbia, South Carolina. Make sure to go by and have a good time. You can contact Trent for all your entertainment needs. Trent at theallaboutnothing.com and on Instagram at TheRealDJLonzo. On Twitter at DJ Lonzo Top 5. You can also phone him 803-262-7982. If you enjoy the show, consider becoming a patron by visiting our website and clicking at the link at the top of the browser that will take you to our Patreon page. You can find details on how you become a supporter, or you can check out benefits there and just consider a donation so that we can continue to bring you this nonsense. We enjoy doing it. We enjoy you enjoying it. As always, you can follow us on Facebook. Just search for All About Nothing US. On Twitter and Instagram at AAN_pod, or you can find links to all of our social media and available podcast platforms by visiting theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be heard on the show, you may call and leave us a message, 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is too far apart, you can fill that time by checking out some of our partner podcasts. Zac and I host What the Pod Was That with Carrie Simmons. Visit whatthepodwasthat.com for links and details. Carrie and Chrissy host Status Macabre. You can find details at statusmacabre.com. Ami Bland takes a deep dive down the rabbit hole in episodes of Welcome to Wonderland, available on all of your podcast listening platforms. As well, you should check out our own DJ Lonzo's Top 5, hosted by Trent Clark, available on most of your podcast listening platforms.
I'm gonna run through the end notes before they go any further with this, because it's gonna get worse. Don't forget, you can become a supporter of the show by visiting patreon.com/theallaboutnothing, or you can find a link at the top of the webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. As well, you can join our Discord server and join the conversation. Thank you very much, John Kocsis Jr., for being our guest this week, in replacement of Trent Clark, by the way, who's not seated over there or here because he's at the beach.
That son of a bitch.
Firefly season is officially upon us. ColumbiaFireflies.com for tickets, merchandise, schedule, as well as you can check out John's broadcasts of every single game that is available through the website there. So that's it. I don't have anything else.
Nope.
You guys have
we didn't
ruined
get to
me.
pick our teams.
Oh, well, I tell you what. Go ahead and pick your team.
Shocker, Braves.
Yeah, it's going to be the Braves.
And South Carolina's going to win the College World Series.
I do have one more note. If we keep these jokes going, you might get AARP as a sponsor.
All right, so everybody stay safe and...
keep your hands to yourself. I'm bringing it over here.
This The All About Nothing podcast is recorded live from the GOT Sound Studio in Columbia, South Carolina. The All About Nothing podcast is produced and engineered by Nick the Geek, owner and operator of GOT Sound Studio. To support the show, please visit theallaboutnothing.com for links to social media, merchandise, and more. Become a patron of the show by following the Patreon link at the top of our page. The All About Nothing podcast is an entertainment product of Barrett Gruber. Special thanks to Zac King, Trent Clark, Muff the Producer, Nick the Geek, and you, our listeners. Please subscribe, rate, review, and share. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button and the notification bell. Thank you for listening.
The All About Nothing podcast is a part of the GOT Podcast Network and a product of Barrett Gruber Entertainment and Media.